Hi, everyone, and welcome to the final Google Career Hangout for the School of Graduate Studies. My name is Catherine Maybrey, and I'm the Graduate Career Strategist. And today, for our final Good Advice Hangout, we have Don Courchesne joining us. Don graduated with a master's degree in communication and new media in 2012, and he briefly worked as a research assistant before leaving campus to join CINDE. And I'm looking forward to learning more about what sounds like a very cool career. He now writes, works on communication strategies, and plans conferences and events. And what's even better is Don loves what he does. So Don, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
We're absolutely thrilled. And I know that this was, you were tops on my list. When I was going through, I thought, okay, who can I connect with who I know has been an engaged grad student, because you were really involved when you were doing your degree, and now to be able to see how that has impacted your career is something that we're really excited about.
Yeah, it's been really good. I've kept connected with a lot of my friends from graduate school and a lot of people from Mac, and it's really worked to my and their benefit, which is really good. So it's been fantastic, and I'm looking forward to giving some of that advice that I've received and that I can give to other people as well.
Oh, music to my ears. You know I love it. So I want to start off because you've got a really cool career, and I think that a lot of people are going to be a bit surprised about it. So kind of what I'd like to do, because you have such an interesting work structure. So you work for the Canadian Institute for Non-Destructive Evaluation, or CINDE.
Yes.
Can you explain what that organization is? Because I don't think a lot of people will have a concept of the organization itself that you would work for.
Okay, so the Canadian Institute for Non-Destructive Evaluation is Canada's not-for-profit organization for the people and companies engaged with non-destructive testing, non-destructive evaluation, and inspection. So what non-destructive testing and non-destructive evaluation is it's like ultrasonics or X-ray, but the industrial side of things. So what we do is we provide training, certification testing, and member services to NDT professionals to enhance and further their careers. So what I do at the Canadian Institute for NDE, or CINDE, is I'm the member services coordinator. So it's my job to handle everything in the member services portfolio. So that includes the publication, our CINDE journal, our social media outreach, our emails, our communications materials, and of course our annual conference and smaller events as well. And there are lots of other things that we do as well, because it's a small business and everyone in the office works together to get everything done. So there are lots of other great little things that I get to do. Like I have worked with invoicing before and doing some accounting stuff. Don't do that as much because I'm not as good with the numbers, but we do have absolutely fantastic staff working here. My colleagues Debbie and Wendy, who do a lot of the invoicing and all the accounting, and then another colleague, Kim, who is the senior administrative assistant, and she's been here for quite a while. In fact, everyone at this organization has been here for quite a while. So everyone likes to work together and loves working here because it's a great place to work.
Wow. Okay. So if you saw me, I was taking notes there. You've said so many things that have just totally piqued my curiosity. So one of the things is that you're working at what essentially appears to be a professional association. Would that be about fair?
We are a not-for-profit organization, so yes, it's a technical organization. We do not certify people. We provide certification testing services, but we're a member society, essentially, that does that. That does certification testing as well as training.
Cool. So this is it's the type of career path that is slightly different. Instead of working for consultants or working for higher education, that might be, issuing degrees or diplomas or providing direct services to clients, you're working with the professionals working within the industry.
Yes, and if you were to ask me whether I would have thought that I would ever be in an industry like this, I would have absolutely said no, because I had absolutely no idea what I was getting into when I was applying. But before I had applied, I had done some research, looked up a lot of information about the company, about the industry, knew some of the key players, and wanted to be able to talk intelligently about the subject. So I sort of did my research on that and found out that it's really an incredibly large industry. Non-destructive testing is used in absolutely every single industry in terms of manufacturing. It's used in aviation, it's used in civil infrastructure, power generation, oil and gas, petrochemical. It's everything is fairly highly regulated in terms of having to test structures. So that's a job that really doesn't go away, and really it is in every single sort of area that you can really think of in the world. It's one of the largest industries that no one knows about.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And okay, so you've brought to mind and fed right in. So how did you come to end up at CINDE? You said that you applied for the posting and did your research, but did you just happen to come across the posting, or was there something that drew you to it?
Well, I knew that it would be sort of a long slog to try and get a job out of school. So I wanted to take steps to try and make sure that I was at least decreasing the amount of time that it would take me to get a job after university. So essentially what I did was, about a quarter of the way into my master's, I started handing out resumes and cover letters and networking, and really trying to, while I was at school, trying to get a job, because I knew that if I were in school and got a job, that I could make it work. But getting a job afterwards might be a little difficult, because you're sort of out of your giant network that you have around you all the time. So it made it a lot easier to talk with people, see what other people were looking for, see what other people were doing and what worked for them versus what worked for me. So I came across the posting. It was just on, I believe that it was on Charity Village, because we are a not-for-profit. And it was sort of a whirlwind, because I had called, and I had called the CEO directly, because we're a small company, easy to locate the CEO. And I called him and I told him, I think I'd be really good for this position. I think you should give me a shot to submit my information. And he said, okay, slow down, send me your resume. I sent him my resume, and then he responded back with just a couple qualifier questions for me. Within a couple days, I had an interview that lasted about 3 hours or so. So it was a fairly extensive interview. The first part of the interview was just getting to know each other and talk a little bit. Second part was actually assessing my skills. So a large part of what I do is produce the CINDE Journal, which is our bi-monthly technical publication. So I had to go through an actual article, spelling, grammar, change things around, sort of make things just a little bit better. And then after that, just a little more talking, a little more about what CINDE does, and then I got sent something else to do, which was to write an article on an event that had just happened at CINDE that I had never been involved with. And the other candidates had about, I'd say probably a week to do it, but I had about 2 days. So sort of tried to do that as quickly as possible. And then after that, it was a 1-hour group interview with the board of directors and the CEO, and then a couple of other people in the organization, and I got the job. So it was a long process and pretty extreme. I haven't heard of anyone having a job interview quite that extreme before, but it's been an absolutely fantastic career here. Everyone, all my coworkers are fantastic, and I'm very, very lucky to be here.
Wow, that is seriously one of the most extreme interviews. I can name some industries that do things like that, but no one around here.
Yeah. Talking to my my boss Larry afterwards, I was like, "That was pretty extreme." He was like, "Yeah, it was a little much." So, but I've been here for quite a while. I've been here for about 4 years. So, I mean, I want to be here a long time. There is a great deal of growth that can be had here, and for the organization and myself. So, it's development here is fantastic.
Well, that's awesome. And I've taken notes. I've got lots of questions that I want to ask. But we also have some questions that have come in from our viewers that follow nicely on what you were just talking about. So with making that first transition, what tools did you use to help you figure out, which skills you had that matched the needs of the employers for your job search?
Okay, so when I was doing my grad studies, I wanted to do work that wasn't purely theoretical, and that could be applicable to industry. So a lot of the times you're able to sort of move assignments and sort of make them your own and really focus on different things. And a lot of what I did was that I worked on communications for not-for-profits, as well as my major research project was actually a crisis communications manual for trade unions, which I graduated in with a combined honors in labor studies and communications for my undergrad at Mac. So it was something I was interested in, but something that would be applicable to pretty much any industry that I would be involved in. That being said, it's all about how you can, it's all about how you phrase things, and all about in how you can turn things to say, okay, I've done this project here, which gives me this applicable skill that will help you do this. So it's really essentially what you can do for your employer, and how that can help them do X, Y, Z. So if you're in an industry that is like mine, that's not for profit, there's a lot of nuance to it. You can say, well, I have these not-for-profit communication skills, and these are the areas that I think that you can improve on, and that I can help you improve on, and we can get there by doing this if you hire me. So it's really about looking at what's in the job posting, looking at your resume and what you've done, and really catering your resume to what they want. Like, you have to be what they want. They can't just pick you out of nowhere because you have skills that you think will be good for it. You have to show them exactly why you would be good for that job.
I am so glad that you said that, Don, and that we have that recorded, because I think I'm going to be using that and playing it over and over again. So aside from getting applicable experience, so in taking your projects out of the theoretical, would you advise students who have the option where they work on projects to be able to connect with organizations throughout the city or whatnot, or maybe find stakeholders or partners or groups that would be interested in their research projects?
Yeah, I think networking is like the number one thing, because even if someone's not hiring, they can know someone who's hiring, and there's this invisible job market that, you know, it could be you could be just talking with one of your network contacts and say, I'm looking for a job, are you hiring? And they can say, well, no, but let me ask some of my contacts, and we'll see. And we'll see if there's anything available. And also you can carve your own path. So if you are interested in volunteering, there's always a shortage of volunteers and people really wanting people with skills. Like if you have communications or graphic skills or another set of skills that you think another organization can benefit from, you can volunteer your time, because one, you're volunteering, and that's always a great thing to do. It makes you feel good about yourself, and you're helping the community that you live in. And two, you're also networking. You never know who you're going to meet when you're out at a volunteering event or a networking event, and it can certainly work to your benefit. So what I would say is that even if it's an on-campus volunteering group, which there are so many clubs, so many societies, so many groups on campus, or one of the many in Hamilton, including you know, even professional organizations like, for example, Hamilton Hive, which is a large youth professional organization. It's an excellent idea to go out there, network, and volunteer, and really offer your skills, because when you can give to someone and you expect nothing in return, really at all, then it can really open you up to opportunities.
Oh, I've missed you, Don. Fantastic. So I love what you're saying about volunteering and networking. And when you make the ask from someone in your network, I'm assuming that if you're asking for, you know, are there potential openings or what do you see coming? That's what you're asking your first degree contacts, right? Your primary people that you actually know, as opposed to your cold contacts.
Yes. I wouldn't just try and connect with someone that I've never talked to before. I would rather be introduced through someone. So having a larger network that you're able to work with, and who is able to introduce you, hopefully on a good basis. Hopefully you're known positively by this person. Then it's ideal, because then it's not as awkward. Say, for example, I want to speak with someone in, say, for example, the gaming industry. I have a friend who works in the gaming industry who could introduce me to someone else working in the gaming industry if I needed that information. So your network really is incredibly key for really looking for those job prospects.
Absolutely. And I know that some of the people who are watching right now are noticing that you seem very at ease, very comfortable. Does networking come naturally to you?
Well, what I think is that communication and networking can be learned. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you are with it. It's just like being in uncomfortable positions. So there's an amazing book called The Charisma Myth that I was introduced to, and it actually goes through some of the different ways that people are charismatic, whether it's you know, power, whether it's warmth, you know, and there are different ways that you can be charismatic and that you can learn to be charismatic, because there's some people that are very, very charismatic people that I'm sure many people watching have seen. But there's a way to get there. So anyone can be that, right? So one of the ways is practicing being uncomfortable, because if you practice being uncomfortable, you'll be very comfortable when you are uncomfortable. So for example, if you're stopped at a stoplight, if you look to the left and you see someone there and you make eye contact with them, a lot of people will just look back down and be really uncomfortable with that. But if you make eye contact with them for as long as possible and laugh it off, then it'll make you feel a little more comfortable with being uncomfortable. It sounds really, really crazy. But even talking to people that you don't know, like at networking events, it can be uncomfortable. It can be very uncomfortable. You might not know what to talk about. There might be really uncomfortable silence. But the more you do that, the better you'll get at it. So it's really a practice thing. So go out to as many networking events that you can go to and really, really practice your communication skills, because it's something that you have to practice. It's not something that you can just really have for the most part.
You know, I had no idea that you'd actually practice so much, because it seems like this was a completely natural thing for you. Our viewers have noticed that you seem very comfortable, you know, kind of speaking on air and everything else. And I would have assumed that that always came naturally to you. I didn't know that you had really developed that.
Well, a lot of it during volunteering at McMaster or being a Welcome Week rep for all of my time at Mac. You talk to a lot of people, especially during that week, as many of you know, a lot of the incoming first years, and you have to really know how to interact with people in a lot of different ways. You have to interact with all of your peers, you know, so it does make it, that's sort of like a practicing exercise. You make it so that the more often you're doing it, the more comfortable you are with it. And I think that a lot of specifically Welcome Week reps from a lot of different societies, like you know, social sciences or humanities, will be able to tell you the same thing, that the more you do it, the more comfortable you are with it. And with that, just you can just extend that into your professional life. So the more networking events you go to, the more people you meet, the more uncomfortable you are in a lot of instances, the better you'll be at it. So you have to go out there and really network and really be uncomfortable to be able to make yourself comfortable.
Wow, that's great advice. And for our students out there who are now concerned that you don't know how to network, it's okay. We have the Networking for Introverts workshop, which will help you learn basic skills and techniques so that you know, you don't have to just go out there and try and figure out what to do. And for public speaking as well, there's Toastmasters and other organizations so that you can, in a safe environment, practice being uncomfortable, because that's fantastic advice. I'm going to tweet that. Okay, so we have another question that is related, because you seem to have had such a path of discovery with the organization you're working for, that it wasn't planned, and it's been so different. So the first question we have is, what misconceptions about the workforce did you have, as a graduate student going into the workforce, and kind of what did you find out was true and untrue when you got your first kind of days on the job?
Well, maybe the transition was a little tougher than I thought it would be. One, because it's a very technical organization, and two, I had never worked really in an office environment before. So there were lots of things that I was unaccustomed to, and that I hadn't really done through my degree, like working in Excel, and working specifically in a lot of using Microsoft Word at a really advanced level. Advanced Microsoft Word and advanced Excel skills are gold. They are absolutely like key to have. Like, if you can have good skills in Excel and Word in an office environment, it can make things a lot easier, and you can do things a lot quicker if you know how to manipulate Excel and Word really well. And I'm very lucky that I had some great coworkers, Kim and Debbie, who were very patient with me and really helped me along. As I said before, this is my workplace is very supportive. Everyone supports everyone here very well. So I would say that the misconception that I had would be that it would be extremely easy. I wouldn't have anything to learn and I could just go in and do my job, because I learn something new every day. I literally learn something new every day here. So whether it's a different way to do something, or a different way to interact with someone, or just something, a tidbit about the industry that I hadn't known before, because there's a lot of nuance in our industry. There are a lot of key players, and it's constantly changing within our regulatory environment, as well as the environment of globalization. Having that knowledge and really knowing information and learning that information on a daily basis is something that I wasn't thinking that I'd do. I had a pretty big chip on my shoulder when I was coming in here, thinking that you know, I would be amazing. I'd rise up through the ranks right away, and everything would be you know, under my thumb for you know, within a matter of years. But it takes time. It does take a lot of time, and I think that as time goes on and you learn a lot more, you really learn that you don't know as much as you think you do, and it will take a lifetime of learning to actually do everything you want to, and to really learn what you want to.
Fantastic answer. And so I have a few follow-ups. I know that my feed is going to get busy with questions coming here, but you have triggered something. So as you know, you're our third, you know, Hangout expert sharing your career story with us. And you're also the third person who has mentioned Excel to us. So I want to kind of touch on this. So how do you use Excel in your job? Because we're trying to nail, this seems to be something that's very important. So we want to make sure we're sharing this with people.
Well, with Excel, for me, if we're doing anything that's written out and personalized, Excel is key to that. Because if you're writing a letter to someone, so dear first name, last name, you can use Excel to occupy those fields, and then do a mail merge, and then be able to print off 50 of those letters that are personalized, for example. Okay, so that's a combination of Excel and Word. So being able to use Excel in that way is ideal. And there are also a lot of administrative tasks that I do. Say, for example, sending out membership renewals, where it's a combination of email, and then we have print, and then I do also telephone follow-ups, because I'm the member services coordinator. So essentially that Excel, we can download an Excel document with all of the information we need, and then create those letters, create those emails, and then I can make those phone calls as well. So being able to have the knowledge to sort of manipulate Excel and Word for you to be able to do that quickly saves you a lot of time in copy paste, insert name. So it really streamlines processes, and knowing Excel functions as well can also do that. For example, if you need to look from a previous renewal to this renewal to see who exactly has renewed on a list of 150 people, you don't want to go through that list yourself. So doing something like a, for example, VLOOKUP, which enables you to sort of see all of those parameters and to see which, and to match things up to see who's there, who's not, is also a way to do that. So really having that in-depth knowledge of Excel really helps. But I do have to say that I'm not the best one at Excel. I know what I know, and I've certainly been taught a lot. So I know that Debbie, our bookkeeper, and Wendy, she's an accountant or administrative assistant here who uses Excel and invoice software. They've taught me a whole bunch. That's helped me to do my job better. So again, going back to that constant learning thing, it's always trying to think about how can you do that better? How can you do it quicker? How can you do it more efficiently? So work smart, not hard, is what I like to think.
Perfect. So so it sounds like you're using Excel a little bit differently. And I was right, by the way, my question list is just going like bananas. So you're using Excel to hold your membership information. So like using words, so like first names and last names, and maybe other text. Would that be partially fair?
Yeah, so we have all of our membership information in a database. We download whatever information we specifically want. Say I want to take people who have signed up for membership on this month. Then we can take that information and then send them personalized letters, for example, like printed letters signed for them as a part of our communications.
Wow. Okay, so one of the things that our students are wondering is in terms of their own skills, because usually, as most of you know who have asked me a resume question, when you put Microsoft Office on your resume, I get very grumpy. But it does sound like there are certain advanced skills or abilities to manipulate these programs that are very important for communication, evaluating data, being able to identify the trends or know what's happening within your organization or industry. So would you recommend taking additional workshops or training? I know you learned on the job from your colleagues, but if you had it to do over again and knowing that this is something that's important, would you recommend, taking some training?
Absolutely. Having actual training on it is wonderful. There are lots of different organizations where you can get even online training for it. I believe that CINDE has a bunch of workshops available. I'm not sure if McMaster has anything available with CINDE. Okay. But CINDE has a bunch of workshops that are available for sort of beginner Excel. If you look online, you'll be able to find a whole bunch of tutorials. The thing is, you don't know what you don't know until you're taught. So having that sort of professional workshop, like I would completely recommend it. It will definitely help you out in the long run.
Absolutely. I've learned my Excel skills the hard way by trying to see if I can make it do something it was never intended to do. So that's how I've learned, but we do have access to lynda.com. For our students, you can go ahead and access that in the library. And if you have questions, you can always tweet us at McMaster SGS. Or you can email me and ask me, and I'll be happy to make connections for you. Okay. You've also mentioned databases as being important. When you're thinking about social sciences and humanities students, they don't necessarily have database experience. Did you have any experience with that before you started at CINDE?
No, I didn't. So essentially, what we do is we have a custom SQL database that works in the background of our website that we have a lot of information on. So I use it mainly for membership, but our organization also does certification testing and training. So we keep training information, certification information, um, and we also do a lot of purchases on our website as well. So all that is included in that. So there's a lot of information there. So ours is fairly user friendly. All you have to do to search for someone is key in a name, and we actually have a great webmaster who, if we need something specific, there's just something little that'll make our job a little easier. We can ask him for that, and he'll throw it into our administrative area and make it available to us to make sure that we can do our job better. Like I said, but I didn't have any database experience. I do not have a large amount of coding experience other than a little bit of HTML. It is, I don't think for my job that it was the most important thing, but it's certainly good to know information about it and how databases work, and just the basics, the absolute basics.
Cool, that's great. I was actually just reading an article last night saying the demand for SQL has increased in job postings. So yeah, in places that you would never expect it. So in relation to the tools and software that you're using on the job, what tools do you use for keeping on task and on time?
Well, I do use Microsoft Project. So that's a project management software that I use for our larger events. And that allows me to really backwards chain all of my milestones and all of my project information that I need, because our large event, the NDT in Canada conference, experiences a little bit of growth every year, along with better revenues coming in from sponsorships and exhibitors. So I have to make sure that everything's on track because it's a very large endeavor. So I will say, like, completely that time management is very, very important, and it's actually somewhere that I have a lot of growth to do. So I have actually been taking some project management courses online. You can take them online. I'm pretty sure that McMaster has some project management courses through the continuing ed office. I know that there are some online ones as well, some introductions to project management. But if you're really interested in really developing your skills like that, I really would recommend doing a project management course, even a fundamentals course, because that will really help you, even just getting the vocabulary down and being able to think strategically about it. It makes it's a very very big deal.
Oh, that's great. Good advice. And now you're making me want to take a project management course myself. Another question that we have is people are very curious because your job sounds very interesting. They'd like to know, can you walk us through what a typical day would be like in your job?
Oh, typical day. Well, there are a lot of emails that I respond to because I am sort of our first point of contact for our members a lot of the time. Right now, I am proofreading a publication I'm being sent to Germany in June, and I'll be able to be a part of our delegation to the World Conference on Non-Destructive Testing. So essentially, I'll be representing the Canadian Institute for NDE at our booth. So I'm bringing a publication of ours with us. So I'm just going through the final steps of making sure all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, making sure all the spelling, grammar, the overall feel of our bi-monthly technical publication is okay. and we're going to be having that printed soon and then shipped over. So that takes up a little bit of time. Also announcing different projects that we are working on. At the moment, we're dealing with announcing some funding and announcing some support for researchers and academics in this area. So trying to create the communication surrounding that, as well as we will be supporting military veterans to sort of transition into a career like this as well. So there's a lot going on the communication side, and as well we will be having a new CEO come in, as my boss will be leaving, and we will have a new CEO. So planning for all of those communications and what we have to do there as well. So a lot of planning, and as well on a daily basis, it's making sure that my department is functioning and is performing well, both financially and on a service level.
Wow. Yeah, you sound really busy. So we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. One of the things that you spoke to is, going through and editing the technical publications. So you have a background in social sciences and humanities, like our speaker yesterday, who also works with people in, scientific and engineering fields and whatnot. How do you do that when that's not your background?
Well, it's a couple of different ways. So one, I can go through it for just general structure, grammar, whether everything makes sense. And for our specific publication, we do take technical information, and we do have technical publications, but we also have more practical hands-on applications. So what I try to do is I try to source documents from people and get them to write it on a less technical level, so that anyone picking it up could understand and that it can be applicable. What I find is that with a lot of high-level technical sciences is that they write it for other technical scientists and not specifically the general public. So it makes it very, very dry to read, and in a lot of cases, very difficult to read. So what I do is I try and massage that a little bit and really try and make sure that it's digestible and that people that it's applicable, but people can understand it, and it's not at too high of a technical level. The second way is that we do have some volunteers who are at high levels in research, both governmental and private, who like to assist and like to help discuss the more technical aspects. So if something's beyond me, which a lot of things are, then I'll send it over to those researchers, and they'll give their 2 cents. It is a peer-reviewed journal, so we also don't like aspects of commercialization in there too much. So we do try and keep it less commercial in terms of the actual articles. But what we can do is make sure that we hold a high standard and high quality to that. So certainly writing all my papers all throughout university, writing my master's major research project, that all helped along the way. One of the first rules of writing that I was told by there's a blogger called Copy Blogger, who I was introduced to from my fiance, Dee Dee Andrews, and that is first rule of writing is to write, and to write lots, and to keep writing, and to write even more. So the more you're doing these things, the better you get. So I go through publications and articles all the time, sourcing them internationally, some from Russia, some from Greece, some from Canada, and there can be some language barriers, but it's the more you know about your direction and where you want to take things, the more you can apply that. So it makes it a lot easier.
Wow. So advice for researchers, by extension, would be to practice your communication skills and getting good at, communicating your research to a lay audience.
Yeah, well, I think that's that McMaster specifically does a really good job at getting very technical research out to the public really well in a way that is digestible. So McMaster Daily News, they do an excellent job at sort of letting the general public know at all of the fantastic research that is going on at McMaster, and it makes it it's very technical research, a lot of it, but they bring it down to a level where anyone in the public can understand it. So if you're looking for a standard of how well you can do that, McMaster does it fantastically.
Oh, thank you. I know that the university is going to be very happy with that. So you've mentioned that you draw on your colleagues' expertise, and that you have a very kind of collegial atmosphere at CINDE. One of the things that you mentioned right at the very beginning was that you described the organization as essentially a small business. Would that be something that, was that something that you were looking for initially when you were making that transition? And how does that impact the way that your job and work life functions?
Well, I'll be really frank in saying that at first I just wanted a job. I didn't care where it was, but I lucked out. I found a fantastic career, not a job. So I'm very lucky in that respect. But I feel like at small businesses, you wear many hats. You're not pigeonholed into one specific thing that you have to do on a daily basis. So my day changes constantly. There's a constant ebb and flow to everything that I have to do, whether it's working on events, whether it's selling books, whether it's talking with members, whether it's writing up communications materials, whether it's planning for the future in terms of strategy. There are many different things I have to do, and in a big corporate entity, for example, that might not be the case. I'm not going to say it's the case everywhere, but a lot of the time there are rigid job structures. So here, everyone helps each other out. So if someone else needs something, I have no problem going to go help them. Just have to let me know what to do. And then you add to your skills, right? So you learn more on a daily basis. So working for a small business such as CINDE has been really beneficial. As I'll say, I speak worlds of my coworkers. Absolutely fantastic. Everyone's very supportive. Everyone's willing to chip in, and I'm truly lucky to have found a spot like this.
And it sounds like the fit at the organization has been fantastic as well. That you have mentioned and spoken so highly of your colleagues. Did you have anyone specific on your team who might have mentored you when you first started and helped you kind of understand the culture at your organization?
Being a small organization, it's sort of everyone helps out everyone. So not a specific mentor, I would say. I tried to stay in contact with a lot of colleagues from graduate studies and see how they were doing, see what they were doing, see if I could apply that to my job. Really, I wouldn't say that I have a mentor per se. I do, look very, very highly on a lot of the different people that work here. And like I said, so many times we all work together very well, and we all help each other. So if I can take my skills and apply it to somewhere else, and it helps someone else do their job easier or quicker or more effectively, then we all win as an organization, and we all move forward a little bit. So it makes it like teamwork absolutely really, really important, very important. So being able to play well with others is really, really important for the job search. People will be able to pick up on that really quickly in a job interview, and I think that knowing how to work with others, knowing how to integrate others' ideas, and to really communicate effectively with others, and being able to navigate change and to navigate other people's ideas is a skill in itself, and something that they certainly develop at McMaster with all the group projects and everything like that. So really, I'd say that good team building skills are a plus.
And I would completely agree with you on that. Excellent, excellent advice once again. So we're nearing the end of our time, but because you have been, just so spot on and so gracious with sharing your advice, I'd like to pick your brain once again. What advice would you have for a graduate student preparing for life after McMaster? What would you encourage them to do?
Okay, so once again, I'll be really frank with this, and you have to be ready to fail a lot. You have to be comfortable with failing a lot. You're going to hand out lots of resumes. If you're lucky, you won't have to hand out that many. But if you don't have a job, you'll have to hand out a lot of resumes. You won't hear back from a lot of people. It will be very, very, very sad for you, and it may be very difficult for you. Just keep going. Keep going, because you have to carve out time. You have to put in the time to your resume and cover letter that you need for each individual post that you go to. It takes time, and it's really disheartening, but eventually you'll find something. It may not be in the industry that you want, but jobs beget jobs. So once you find a place to work and you start working and building your skills, you can look somewhere else as well. But there are lots of people who still don't have, full-time employment. But even if you can get a part-time job in an area that you're interested in, like I said, part of it's networking, part of it's building your skills. So it really, just really try and persevere, really try and do your best. I mean, I know graduate studies has that you can have them look at your resume, and you can go in there and you can use the services available to you to really try and improve yourself. But really, I completely understand how disheartening it is, because I started looking for jobs all through my graduate degree, probably hundreds of jobs. And I got a couple of job offers that were a little too far to go than I was able. But once you do find that job and you stick to it and you stick with it, you can really grow with that job and turn that job into a career. And I was very lucky to have a job before I even graduated. So really having that persistence and perseverance really paid off, and you just need to get it done and really, really try hard to keep your spirits up, because it is disheartening. And that may not be the answer that you necessarily wanted, but it's very truthful, very, very truthful.
You won't get disagreement from me, Don. The job search is something that is difficult. So for our grad students who are out there, for resumes specifically, you can access our self-directed e-course, 1-week resume. Read your mailer, and there will be a link every month. We have registration open. And if we're looking for critiques, unfortunately, I don't provide critiques just because of the fact there's only one of me. But grad students can get resume critiques through eVisors, which is McMaster's mentoring platform. You can connect with an industry expert and get feedback on your resume. So, absolutely. And we do have other programs and resources as well. So be sure to be visiting our website and also reading your emails. Perseverance is key. I agree. Would you say that, students should, when should students start their job search?
Well, I don't know if I'm the right person to ask for that, because I started right when I was in grad school. So if you haven't been networking and you haven't been, tending to those fields, as they say, start networking now. Start going out to events, start volunteering in your area, because once it does come time, the depending on the company, the application process can be a couple months. So start looking at likely a couple months before the end of your program. It would be my recommendation. If someone really likes you, they might be able to give you a career once you're finished. If not, you can work during the end of your graduate studies. It could be tough, obviously, but if you really want to do that specific career, you can make it work somehow. And speaking from experience, I know that my professors were very supportive in that regard, and they wanted all of us to succeed. So it was very good of our department, in the communication and the media department, and the communications department in general. So really, just to parse everything down, because I talked so much, start a couple months, I would say, before you graduate, to actually start handing out applications, in my opinion. But be networking a lot of the time, because that will definitely pay off for you.
Absolutely. If we steal that sales acronym of ABC, always be closing, we could say always be networking and expanding your network, gaining your experience, as you talked about, finding ways to apply your research, developing your skills, and continue learning, whether it is from colleagues or professional development skills, online courses. It doesn't just have to be the academic courses that you're taking, but it all clearly plays into taking you places that you never anticipated going, and are so happy that you're there. So thank you so much, Dawn. You've given us so much to think about today, and I know that the students have really learned a lot. I know I have. If it weren't a time constraint, I could happily continue this conversation for another hour. So maybe we'll have to have you back.
Well, thank you very much. I'd be happy to come back. And my last bit of advice to people is, if you can volunteer at Mac somehow, give back to the community that has given so much to you, I really recommend doing it. I mean, I was at Mac for 5 years of my life, my undergrad and then my master's. People live in houses for shorter than that, but they call them homes. So you can really think that of McMaster as your home for many people, I would think. So I would recommend volunteering, giving back. Alumni is always looking for people to help out, as well as I'm sure graduate studies is always looking for volunteers. So see where you can get involved and be involved in the community that gave you so much. That really gives me a lot of perspective and makes me feel good and be able to give back and really help other people out who are up and coming and who may not know as much about work outside of Mac. So if you can pass that along, that would be my final bit of advice to everyone.
You know what? That's the best way to end this that I could ask for. So thank you so much, Don. And for all of our viewers, thank you for watching. We will be looking at doing another series of Hangouts in the near future, so stay tuned. And if you have ideas for people that you would like to see interviewed or for industries you'd like us to connect on, just reach out to us on social media. You can post a comment on this video, or you can always tweet us at McMaster SGS or visit us on our Facebook page or on our website. So thank you, everyone, and have a great day.